Hello students, this is Miss Dalton, and in today's video we're going to learn how to write a quadratic equation given 3 points using matrices. So in this example we have these 3 points, -2, 25, 1, 7, and 3, 35, and they are all on a parabola, and we're going to figure out what is the quadratic equation. So to do this, you first have to understand the basic form of a quadratic, standard form, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, I've got 3 points here. So if I take each of these points and substitute them into this equation, I will have 3 different equations. So let's do that. So we're going to take that first point, which is -2, 25, and my x is -2, my y is 25. So we're going to make an equation out of that. So y equals, so my y is 25, so 25 equals a times my x squared, which is -2 squared, plus b times my x, which is -2, plus c. Now, if I simplify this, this would be 25 equals, that would be 4a minus 2b plus c. Then I'm going to take my other point, 1, 7. And again, 1 is my x, 7 is my y, so I'm going to make an equation out of that using the red equation up there. So y equals, that would be 7 equals a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c. If I simplify that, that would be 7 equals 1a plus 1b plus c. Then if I take my third point there, let me get a different color here. If I take my third point, that's going to be 335. And again, 3 is my x, 35 is my y, so substitute it in. 35 equals a times 3 squared plus b times 3 plus c. And if I simplify that, that's going to be 9a plus 3b plus c. Okay, so I've got these 3 equations here that I'm now going to write in matrix equation form. So look at this, like let me rewrite that again. So let me put the constant on the right. So then that would be, that would be 4a minus 2b plus c, and that equals 25. Okay, so if I make that into a matrix equation, keep in mind that you would have your coefficient matrix 4, -2, 1. And that would get multiplied by your variable matrix as a column, so A, B, C. And then that would equal your constants, or what the constants on the right side, so that equation would be equal to 25. Now let's do that with our 2 other equations. So now we have, if I'm looking at it here, I'm looking at 1a plus 1b plus 1c. So that's just going to be the coefficient 1, 1, 1, and it's equal to 7, so we're going to put 7 over here. Then we have our last equation, which is 9a plus 3b plus c, so those coefficients are going to be 9, 3, and 1, and it's equal to 35. So again, this is my matrix equation, but I want you to understand that now to find my a, b, and c, we would have to do the inverse of the first matrix and we would multiply it by the constant matrix 25, 7, 35. Now you can do this on your calculator. You would have to do the inverse of the first one times the second one. You could also use an augmented matrix if you would like, and use reduced row echelon form on your calculator, RREF. And the augmented matrix would be that first matrix, 4, -2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 9, 3, 1, and then you'd have that vertical line, and then you would put the other matrix, 25, 7, and 35. So if you want to use augmented matrices, you would have to do reduced row echelon form on your calculator, and you would just type in that whole matrix. Now let's kind of look at how we could simplify this process without having to write out all of these equations here. Well, if you look at our points, so here are our points right here, and if you look at those points and compare how I filled in this first column, well, if you look at that, that's all of your x's squared, right? And that's because in that first part of my equation, we have our x squared. So in this first column, you're always going to just put all of your x's squared. The second column, if I look at the second column right here, this is all of my x's, right? -2, 1, 3. So to do that column, I need to put all of my x's. The last column is always going to be 1, and if you think about it, it's because C just has a coefficient of 1. We're not having to put x in there, we're not having to put y in there, nothing. This is just going to always be that coefficient of 1 that just goes straight down. And then if you look at that last column, 25, 7, and 35, that's going to be your y values, 25, 7, 35. So in that last column, you're just putting your y values. And so if you'll take your 3 points and do that, square them and make your first column, just put x in the second column, put the coefficient of 1 in the third column. In that fourth column, if you're using an augmented matrix, that fourth column is just going to be your y values. And then you can use your calculator to solve it. Okay, so I'm going to show you both methods. So the first method is to just type in the matrix and do the inverse. So to get to the matrix screen where you can just type it in on the home screen, you're going to hit alpha zoom, and then you're going to have to say what the dimensions are of your matrix. Well, if we're doing that first one, it's going to be a 3 by 3. So I go up here to 3 rows, and I have to hit enter to highlight it. Then I'm going to go over to 3 columns, hit enter, and then you have to go down to the bottom to hit OK. Once you do that, it's going to put a 3 by 3 matrix for you to type in. So you're just going to type in the numbers 4, -2. I'm just going to keep typing and stop talking. So 1, and then you have to get to the outside of it and you have to enter the inverse. Well, remember this button right here, x to the -1, is the inverse, so it'll put the little -1 exponent there. Then we have to type in the other matrix, which is alpha zoom. This time it's a 3 by 1. Hit enter, and then go down to hit OK. And now type in that matrix. So 25, 7, and 35. When you hit enter, those numbers represent your A, your B, and your C. To do the RREF, it's a little less clicks. So you're going to go to your matrix screen, which is right here. So you're going to have to hit second, and then x to the negative 1. You're going to go over to math, and if you'll scroll up, you want to go to where it says RREF. So that's going to be B. That's reduced row echelon form, so that's that long way of solving a matrix. And so you're going to now type in the matrix, so alpha zoom. But this time you have to do it as one matrix. So it's a 3 by 4. And then you're going to type in the numbers. So 4, -2, 1, and then you're going to type the number after the vertical line. So you're going to type in the 25. And then 1, 1, 1. 7, and then 9, 3, 1, 35. And you just have to hit enter, and then it'll give you the same A and B and C value, but remember that first part is your identity, so you just ignore that. The answer comes in that very last column, so 4, -2, 5. And so that's going to be what your equation is for your quadratic. So you're just going to write it in standard form. Y equals, the A was 4, so 4x squared. The B was -2, so -2x. And your C was 5, so +5. And so now you've got your equation for the quadratic.